Hello everyone, and welcome to New Trials the Podcast. I'm Preya.
And I'm Melanie.
And today we'll be discussing another chapter from New Trials of Captor Sakura, Syaoran and Friends by Wishluv. So, Melanie and I are together.
She's in Kansas!
I'm in Kansas. I had a great week. Melanie took me to a baseball game. We went to a big cat animal sanctuary. I got to meet more of her family, got to see her friends. Just really chilled out. It was a lovely, lovely vacation. So happy to be here.
I'm glad to have her. And we're glad to be doing this podcast together because we all know you guys really like it when we can do our podcast in person. So, yay!
Yay! So before we kick off this chapter, Melanie, what would a Melanie fantasy look like?
So I've had some time to think about this, and I actually think mine is almost probably kind of straightforward, but I think it would be kind of like fairy tale, woodlandly, what?
Woodland creatures?
Woodland. Woodland, like, you know, that type of like setting, and I think like animals would talk, and I would just live on like a cutesy little farm with my cutesy little garden with like my little fairies in the house to like help me clean, and it'd just be like very just Disney-esque and super cute. And then the only other thing I think I would really want is, I don't know if any of y'all remember the movie Spy Kids back in the day, but I remember they had these like what looked like astronaut meals that they would microwave, and then from the microwave would pop McDonald's or something like that. So I think that would also be super cool. But what would yours look like?
So this is a question that can have so many answers, but since Melanie pleaded me to watch Bridgerton after season 4 came out, which I never checked out despite being on the air since 2020, so she was right about me falling in love with the series. I would love a Regency era fantasy where I would dance at parties and be courted by a very handsome Bridgerton man who just happens to be obsessed with me. Mm-hmm. After all, don't forget which grown-up Cho Chang said, reformed rakes make really great husbands. So what would your Bridgerton / romance novel be?
I think trope-wise, I would want to go with the whole, like, rivals to lovers. I think that would be mine, because I tend to gravitate towards that. A la CCS, I think, turned me on to I like the stories where the guy is kind of rude to the girl, and then over time, he, like, develops feelings. The other trope I also really like is the trope of the guy has secretly been in love with the girl the whole time, and you don't find out until like towards the end that he's like everything he's ever done has been for her. So I feel like that would be like either two of what I would want.
At first, I didn't really have an answer for this, but because I am drama free. I really love Francesca's storyline, where she and John just clicked as people right away, and then their love story just takes off. I know that it was a terrible time for women back in that day, but that's why the fantasy comes in. I can just dip my toe into the romantic side and just do away with everything else. Today we will be discussing Chapter 47, Shredded Fantasy. It was released August 2nd, 2003, which is the exact same date that Chapter 46 was published. Originally, it looked like it was supposed to be one long chapter, and that was changed, which she split it in two. The word count is 26,813 words, which is a bit longer than the previous chapter. We are in the month of October, and the gang's in 9th grade, and actually we have been in October ever since Starcross ended with Chapter 42.
Wow.
And we released that podcast episode last year.
Wow. Sorry, guys.
Like, I had to take some liberties by guessing the timeline, because usually Halloween will mark the end of October, but we don't see Halloween in Arc 3 as we do in Arc 1 and 4. But the way I see it, Malin got injured, needed a few weeks to heal, now she's better, she's going back to Hong Kong, and then the Battle of the Sun and Moon goes on. The way I see it, this is the end of October, and the next time we're going to cover a chapter, it's going to be a new month. So now for the summary. An ill Tanaka Miura sensed someone outside her hospital window and felt it was her son. Nakuru discovered Miho ran away with her brother. Kai drove everyone to Etuku, where they found Ariel failing to convince her that Mike was an imposter. Upset that her friends didn't believe her, she turned to Mike, who sent her to the fantasy kingdom. Sakura was about to fight the fantasy when Ariel told her she had to separate the two forces that created quote-unquote Mike, or else Miho would be trapped. The second force was the transform, who turned into people by using their belongings, and to seal it, one must name the object used. After Syaoran sliced away the locket around Mike's neck, Sakura found that it was empty and said that the object was the picture. She sealed the force. The fantasy let Sakura and Syaoran enter Miho's fantasy world. Ariel and Kiro-chan followed, but when Syaoran wished for them away, it came true. Meanwhile, Kiro-chan wished Tomoyo was there, and she joined him and Ariel as she wished for a dragon to take them to Miho's castle. Sakura and Syaoran ran into Knight Mike, who almost arrested them for trespassing, but they ran to the tower of the Earl of Darkness, where Miho was planning her attack. Meanwhile, Tomoyo, Ariel, and Kiro-chan were arrested when they first arrived at the castle, and Miho, as the princess, didn't recognize them. They pretended to be musicians and entertained Miho to avoid dungeons, and Tomoyo was able to sing. Sakura and Syaoran stayed at a cottage that night. Syaoran admitted to a sleeping Sakura that he wasn't the chosen one, and that he loved her. But after he realized she was awake, he kissed her and wished that she forgot everything. The next morning, Syaoran saw Sakura's bruises, and after being furious at Aaron, he moved Sakura with his concern for her. Sakura and Syaoran got to the tower, where they ran into a humbled Mike in black, who begged them to have Miho destroy him under the pretense of the Earl of Darkness, to destroy her fantasy, and to be saved. The Force cared more about Miho than his allegiance to the Dark Ones. When Miho arrived at the tower, her friends failed to convince her that she must return to reality. She defeated the Earl on the grounds of how light must always defeat dark, thus leaving no room for gray. She was horrified when she saw the victim was Mike, since he was stained all along, and Ariel convinced her that it was time to let go and move on. Back in the real world, Sakura still failed to capture the fantasy, who stated the only way to seal it was to give up on dreams, which won't be happening to Sakura anytime soon. Too stubborn to ride home with Kai, Syaoran walked back, and when he went past his father's old house, he doubled over from a vision of icy blue eyes. The music festival arrived, and Tomoyo was horrified that her voice was still gone, and the phantom's echo in her head taunted that she would always be alone. The bead mystery was solved when Takashi gave Chiharu a handmade bracelet. Ariel arrived late, but he was there in time to give Tomoyo confidence before her turn. During the show, Sakura was shocked to see Syaoran with his violin, and he dedicated his performance to the person he hurt and apologized, and he put an emphasis on the importance of memories. Ariel's compliments to Tomoyo gave her tingles on her spine, though she didn't know why. Tomoyo sang beautifully and won first place in her division. After Ariel congratulated her with a rose, she realized she fell in love with him. After Sakura gave Kai the locket, he told her he was no longer Tanaka Mike. Aki apologized to Miho, which surprised her. When Aaron tried to apologize to Sakura, Syaoran found them and got in a bloody fistfight with Aaron until the principal sent him and Kai, who held Syaoran back, to his office. Sakura left her handkerchief with Erika, who tended to Aaron. Afterwards, Sakura finally congratulated Syaoran on winning first place, and he told her it was on his to-do list, along with mastering his cousin's dragon technique and so on. He gave her his family's balm for her bruises. They had a study date, and Syaoran felt his life was a fantasy.
Also, by the way, guys, my dog is barking and I'm trying to get him to just not interrupt us, but I apologize if you can hear him in the background. For those of you that know, he's a Great Pyrenees and loves to bark his head off, and today has just been a losing battle so far. But anyways, on we go.
The chapter opens up with a sick Miera, who we learn is 38. And that sent Melanie and me reeling, because
oh my God.
Here I am, 41 with a 2-year-old. Here's Melanie.
I'm literally going to be 38 in September.
And you've got like a 7-year-old. And like their 38 Miera has like, what, Kai's 16 and Miho's like 14.
I cannot imagine. That is insane to me.
Like, yeah, it was a different time back then, and she did know Keisuke for a long time. So when they finally went from not enemies to actually falling in love with each other, the foundation was there. But still, to be 38 with a 16-year-old.
Man. But I mean, I can sort of see the appeal of being, like, basically almost in your 40s, and then both kids are about to be out of the house, and then you just have the... In theory, then you just have like the rest of your life just to be like la-di-da, whereas, you know, so that is one nice thing about getting it done quickly when you're younger, but at the same time, like, I don't know, I love the financial freedom that I have now. Maybe I don't have the energy level I would have had at that age to raise a small kid, but man, 38, existential crisis indeed.
So even though she was incredibly sick, her intuition told her that Miike was out there. It's the day before the competition, and Tomoyo can't sing. Ariel is definitely her #1 champion, which makes us all swoon. We have a Nakuru. I feel like we haven't heard her voice in forever, but the second I heard your voice for her, I just knew who she was.
She's really fun to voice.
Also, good to hear the hilariously robotic Supi-chan. Ariel's guardians find a note from Miho where she announced that she ran away from home with Miike. Supi-chan made a beeline to Ariel, and that's how the gang found out. After school, Tomoyo had the costumes ready and complained how there hasn't been a lot of opportunities for costumes. But I checked through my notes, and we just had one 2 chapters ago when Sakura caught the magician and the wave. So it's like a little bit of short-term memory or wishful thinking on her part.
It's been a busy couple weeks.
Yeah. It's because we're chapter 47 and like October starts in chapter 43, and that was 2 chapters ago, 45, same month. I think Tomoyo was like, oh, it's been a while since I put you in a costume, and it's like, no, Tomoyo, we have the receipts. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's never enough for Tomoyo. Even if there was one last week, that was still too long. And this is the chapter where we have the gypsy costume and the pirate costume, and I hold those 2 dear to my heart because I cosplayed those last October. Syaoran suggests that they start looking for Miho in their old neighborhood. Miho decided that nothing was going to stop her from staying with Miike, and she wanted to go where her house used to be. Now that's exactly where Ariel popped up and revealed that someone else bought the land, which is not the opener to like coax Miho to come back to him.
I don't know what the thought process behind that was. Like, hey, I'm just gonna do a little trauma dump with you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you know this thing, this plot of land that used to belong to you, it belongs to someone else. Now come home.
Not very tactful, Ariel.
Not very smooth, Ariel. Not your usual style. Sakura and the gang tried as well, going as far as calling Miike an imposter and explaining that it was the work of the Dark Forces. Miho begged Miike to take her away, and the Dark Forces transported her to the fantasy dimension. SNS tried to attack Miike. They were not successful. Ariel explained that Miike was a combination of the fantasy and the transform, and that to capture the transform, they needed to identify the object to use to create its form. So Sakura got Syaoran's help to get the locket, which she saw was empty, and announced that the photo of young Mikei and Miho was the object. You know, before reading this chapter, I always thought it was the locket. And then, like, upon rereading this chapter, I'm like, oh yeah, it's not the locket, but the picture itself.
Yeah, that's true. I always just assume it's the locket as well, but yeah, you're right.
The picture separated itself from the blob, and Sakura captured it real quick. And here we have an example of Ariel helping Sakura. And it's like later on when we get to the next chapter, he's kind of, you know, backroom dealing with Erica.
Yeah, I have some thoughts about that. You guys just wait for next episode.
The fantasy spoke up from thin air and invited them to go into its realm to find Miho. I really like the voice that you chose for the fantasy, and I think it's the right combination of confident and cocky.
Thank you. I was trying to make it a little bit ambiguous, a little bit too, like, I don't know, really kind of like breathy, but also, I don't know. I had fun with it.
It's as if the fantasy knew they were going to be successful in trapping Miho and her friends forever. So it's like, okay, now the fun really begins. I love how Syaoran was there asking all the questions, whereas Sakura just checked the I have read the terms and conditions box and jumped in.
Type A versus Type B personality.
We are in the fantasy, and Sakura is absolutely giddy to be alone with Syaoran in such a whimsical place. The feeling went away really quickly when Ariel and Kiro-chan announced their presence. But one wish from Syaoran, wishing that they were gone, sent them away. Which is exactly what we want. We cut to a funny scene where all of Kiro-chan's gluttonous dreams come true. But all Ariel wanted was for Tomoyo to be there. So even though it was Kiro who made that wish came true, it was really sweet that Tomoyo did get to join them.
So much fun. I mean, that's her land. Yes. It's so good. And I think it's also right around here where are you going to talk about Tomoyo making the dragon appear? Or whatever.
I'm almost there.
Okay, go ahead.
So I think that this may be my favorite Kiro-chan performance yet.
Oh, thank you.
So Tomoyo wasted no time conjuring a dragon to bring them to Miho.
So there's a scene right after this where Syaoran he says something about like, oh my god, I think I just saw a giant polka dotted dragon with a bow out of its rear end or something like that. I forget like the actual sentence, but I had to redo that sentence no less than like 14 times because I just kept laughing. It was just so funny to do polka dot out of his rear end. Like just something about like doing it in Syaoran's voice just got me, and I think I kept the blooper, and so we'll
add it to the end.
Yeah, we'll try to add it to the end because it's just so funny.
We are back to S&S. They fill up on desserts and pink lemonade. Yes, as a teenager, the scene sounds delightful, but now that I'm on the other side of 40, it makes my stomach turn. They're greeted by a white knight, who looks like Mikei, who explained that Miho was preparing for battle against the Earl of Darkness, which surprised S&S. And we get a little bit of foreshadowing about Sakura's fantasy in Arc 4. I quote, Syaoran whispered to Sakura, if you were creating your own fantasy world, would you create villains also and prepare to war with them? Of course not. Everyone would live in harmony and get along, Sakura whispered back. So that's sort of what we get in her fantasy. Or it's like every place that Syaoran travels to, it's just group after group after group with people living their best lives.
Yeah.
And I know Wish-chan said she never really plotted past yesterday's letter, but it's really fun to think like, well, was that intentional? Was it not intentional? Did she remember this chapter and piggybacked off of it? So like, we might not ever get the answers to it, but it's fun to connect the dots. It's not too long before they get arrested for trespassing, but they make a run for it towards the Dark Tower. We cut back to Tomoyo, Ariel, and Kiro-chan, who were at the castle. They are set to be arrested when Princess Miho made her appearance, and they saw her parents, a way healthier Miara, and a man who looked familiar.
I know! Like, how? How did I miss all the signs? Wish-chan had all these neon-pointed signs at Sheen, and I just completely just did not pick up on it.
Well, yeah, well, you know, the man was supposed to be dead. How are we supposed to know? But of course, yes, it is another Shing as Keisuke foreshadowing, which we had absolutely no idea, and Wish-chan was like, hee 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 hee, cackling. The man was supposed to, yeah, so yeah. Okay, how are we supposed to know? They were going to get thrown into the dungeon, but Ariel quickly represented themselves as musicians. He played the piano, and Tomoyo's ability to sing returned. Shouted again to Andrea Ibarra for providing Tomoyo's sweet voice to the piano this time.
Yes, everyone give her all the love and flowers.
The performance was over, and they were safe from imprisonment. S&S found a cottage that seemed very Seven Dwarves-esque. The green and pink pajamas sound very cute, and I low-key have my eye open for something similar in the wild. And upon visiting Melanie, I got to meet her mother-in-law, who sews, and she sewed us the cutest pink and green matching aprons. Oh, when she presented them to me, I was like spazzing, and I was like, those are for us! And she picked the perfect colors too. And she's like, yeah, I know those colors are important to you guys and your story. And I'm like, oh, I feel so seen.
Yeah, it's like, we'll post a picture of that too, but it's just the cutest like pastel pink and the perfect Syaoran green. And yeah, I was so pleased with it. And because I knew Preya was coming to visit me in May, and so back in February or January, I had asked her if she could please make us something, because she's been making my daughter some clothes, and then her other son's daughter's clothes as well. And so I've always like bugged her. I was like, can you please make me something? Make me something. Make me something. And then finally she relented and was like, well, okay, maybe I can like sew you an apron. And I was like, hey, my friend's coming. Can you make us matching ones? And yeah, they were so cute. I was so pleased with it.
Oh, they were so nice. And it was such a labor of love, too. I really appreciate it. Oh, so happy to be matching with my bestie. Sakura asks Syaoran what his fantasy would be like, and we get the ultra smooth line of, if you're there, that's all I need.
We will.
Now, I thought Syaoran said it, but when I went into the text to pull out the quote, he just thought it.
Oh. Wah, wah.
Like, I really thought he said that, and I'm like, oh, you go, Syaoran. But no. It's, audiobook listeners, it's something that he thought. The thing is, though, Melanie said it so softly in the audiobook. It's like, you know, maybe Sakura wouldn't have heard anyway.
Dang it, I'm kind of upset with myself, because normally when there's lines like that, even if Wish-chan doesn't specifically like write it in the text, but for the audiobook listeners, I'll say Syaoran thought, Sakura thought, and I must have just been so into this chapter, because I really do like this chapter, and I just breezed on past it, so sorry about that, guys.
No, that's okay. That's what the podcast is for. Wishful thinking. Sakura fell asleep before Syaoran, and he took this moment to take her hand to tell her he was no longer the chosen one. He also proclaimed his love for her. He left the bed, and after he went to her, he saw that she was awake after all. He kissed her and just asked the fantasy to forget everything. A scene frustrating to us fans.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second.
Yes.
Why do you think the reasoning? Like okay, let me caveat this. We know the reason why.
Yes.
Syaoran says to the fantasy, like, please have her forget. Like, obviously we know, because hopefully Wish-chan, there's like some amazing proclamation of love coming eventually, hopefully soon. So, like, I get it, but, like, just taking that aside, like, why wouldn't this be a good opportunity to, like, just be like, yeah, this is how I feel. This is, I'm honest, and it's, like, in a cutesy fantasy, like, love land. I don't know.
Well, that's it. You pretty much answered your question, because they are in the fantasy land. Everything is heightened. Nothing is real.
But he keeps like, this is real.
Nothing is real. And it's like, even Sakura is like, is Syaoran actually saying this? Or is this like my fantasy overpowering the situation?
I didn't think of it like that.
Yeah, making Syaoran say these words that I've always wanted him to say.
Okay. I didn't think of it like that. Good point. But I feel like also he could have at least just been like, well, let her forget about the I love you part, but maybe she can remember I'm not the chosen one. Because, he's been trying to tell her for the past couple chapters, and at least, like, they're alone. They're in a cabin where they could really just sit and talk about it. Like, that one, I'm like, she could have remembered that part, and then you could talk about it, like, the next morning, but whatever. We know the reason why, obviously, but...
Yeah, it's not how he wanted to present it. He thought of this as like a dress rehearsal. Everything is so heightened and just not real that this is probably like the most real aspect to him. So I understand why he did it. I understand why he caved in the moment. I understand why he wished for her to forget everything. But yeah, sometimes it's like I forget the kiss that even existed. Because it's just half remembered.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like he just point blank said, this is not the way I want to tell you.
Yeah. Wah, wah, wah.
Ariel, Tomoyo, and Kiro-chan have a pretty funny conversation about how SNS are getting closer, including Tomoyo's freak out about not knowing about the wolf boy and wolf puppy sleepover at Sakura's. To be that best friend who isn't there for like 100% of the moments.
Right.
Kiro-chan takes a moment to totally diss Tomoyo for basically being a spinster.
Yeah, low blow, Kiro. He's like, you're beautiful, but why does no one like you? Why are you alone?
And we want to take a moment to highlight Ariel's sleeping clothes.
His little nightcap. I believe ever have seen that in that, like, in like that Christmas poem. It was the night before Christmas. Like me in my nightcap. And I was like...
There needs to be a fan art of that.
Please, someone do it.
It's too cute for words. And it's like, he's so he just sucked it up. It's not even his style, but he did it for Tomoyo.
That is a man in love, I tell you. That is a man in love.
Next morning, Syaoran wakes up first. In the morning light, he clocks Sakura's bruises.
Oh.
Yeah. Sakura tried to make excuses, but was failing miserably. Of course, didn't help when Syaoran forced himself into Sakura's mind. And it took some work, but Sakura cooled him down. Oh man, but to be Syaoran in this moment, it's like he told her time after time, you cannot trust Aaron. You cannot trust the Dark Ones. Stay away. And what does she do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do want to give Wish-chan some flowers for this scene because I think this is something that DV victims do where they'll make excuses for their partners. They'll try to say, like, this isn't really them, like this, they don't really act this way, so I think she did a very good job to be like a teenager in writing this scene. Like, she did such a good job, but I do feel like it's an important topic to talk about, that this is not okay, this is not acceptable behavior to accept from anyone in your life. I know, like, technically Aaron was not her partner, but it's just not acceptable behavior. And so we will put some resources in the description link for DV victims, or if you know someone that needs help. But I do feel like that's important to mention and to talk about because I do think it's a sensitive trigger warning. So anyways.
Thank you for that, Melanie. We get a romantic moment where Sakura almost falls when they were in the tower, but Syaoran pulled her close. Now, if New Tribes was an anime, this is definitely an underrated scene that I would love to watch play out.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when Syaoran was tempted to kiss her again.
I know! I completely forgot about it.
I forget about this scene every single time I do my reread. Every single time. SNS got to the top of the tower, and to their surprise, Mickey was there waiting for them and requested for them to take Miho out of the world. And the only way that could happen was for Mickey to be destroyed in front of Miho. Sakura realized that Mickey must be defeated as the Earl of Darkness if Miho had any chance of snapping out of it. Miho and her party arrived at the Dark Tower and climbed to the top, where they were greeted by SNS. Sakura and Syaoran tried to snap Miho without involving the Earl of Darkness, but their pleas fell on deaf ears. Mm-hmm. Well, she's got a one-track mind. She goes very deep in the fantasy, and it's like Mickey was like, listen, this is the only way to do it. And then when SNS are trying another way and it's not working, it's like they really shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Miho faces her adversary, where she talks about how the world is black and white, even if the Earl is trying to convince her that sometimes there's gray. Now, even though he's not the real Mickey, I feel that he's advocating for Kai.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Miho still shot her arrow through the mirror and straight into the Earl. I really like the clattering sound effect.
Thank you.
It ties the scene together. That's when Miho realized that the Earl was Mickey, because Mickey said if there was only black and white, then he would be black. Mm. It was only then that Miho realized it was a fantasy. Ariel swooped in, reminding her that she couldn't be a child forever, and that's when she really woke up. And to his surprise, she started laughing about how funny some of her lines were in fantasy mode. To the dungeons!
So funny.
So Kira was surprised that she didn't recognize them. And then there's a quote that I also wanted to pull out. Then he realized that if Miho had truly forgotten them, they would be trapped there forever inside the fantasy. Now this circles back in Arc 4, when Syaoran goes into Sakura's fantasy, and his only chance of coming out is if Sakura would remember him.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I like that remembering element is going to circle back in Arc 4. The fantasy arc ends with everyone but Syaoran admitting that a part of them didn't want to stay longer, even though he was totally in their camp. It's like, wow, Syaoran, you're like the only one who's strong. And
yeah. he's like, yeah, I totally am, guys.
Collectively, they all decided it was time to return home. Back in the real world, Sakura attempts to seal the fantasy, but it flat out taunts her that as long as she has hope and her own dreams, as long as she has hope and her own dreams and fantasies, she can't. The only clue on how she can seal it is only when you are in true despair and have given up all your dreams, all of your hopes, and accept the cold injustice of reality will I be sealed. And just as a reminder, folks, this is chapter 47. Came out in August 2003. And the fantasy was only sealed in chapter 60.
Wow.
Rememory, which came out 6.5 years later in January 2009.
And that's a big foreshadow because Sakura is being controlled by the despair.
Yes. She was under the influence of two cards, so memory and despair.
Yeah. Way to go, Wish-chan.
Yeah. Miho rejoins her group of friends, and everyone is glad that the fantasy's hold on her is over. She actually collapsed from mental exhaustion, and that made me remember that Tomoyo still has side effects from being controlled by the Phantom as well.
Yeah.
So these dark forces are next level.
Mm-hmm.
We close off Miho's fantasy arc with Sakura feeling that she forgot something. And this is probably the last that we've we will ever hear of SNS's third kiss. We all collectively sigh in annoyance. Before Wish-chan closes out on the day completely, she does drop some more Li-yun foreshadowing when Syaoran is struck with a vision of icy eyes. And this reminds us seasoned readers that we are getting close to his abduction. Boo. Mm-hmm. It's the next day of the music festival, and the school is definitely abuzz. Now, this chapter says that the students are more excited for this than Starcross, but I don't believe that for a second.
There is absolutely no way. As someone that has partook in some of these type of competitions, like, there is absolutely no way.
Because Starcross was like a school-wide production, whereas the music festival is just for the music students and singers.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody has had Starcross fever because it was even in their curriculum. And if you didn't act, you could work behind the scenes as crew. So when Wish-chan wrote the lines about how people were more excited about things like festival than Starcross, I was like, no, hold my drink. Ariel was absent since he was taking care of Miho, and Tomoyo felt more alone than ever, especially since she wasn't able to sing during rehearsal. She really was in the state of panic, and it didn't help that the Phantom added fuel to the fire. Sidetrack, we get to the sweetest scene where Takashi presents Chiharu with a beaded bracelet that he made, and it made me melt. And I love that Wish-chan literally only wrote that scene as a thank you for taking over DigiDynasty's uploading job
that's
on
so
FF.net.
sweet.
Like, that's the only reason that scene exists.
Aw, so sweet. Were you just like beside yourself?
I was
at the time?
beside myself. I was so tickled. Wish-chan is my idol, and it is like the biggest notice me moment ever.
I love that.
Ariel and Miho made it to the festival, but Syaoran was still missing. Tomoyo was spiraling, but Ariel showing up really helped anchor her down. And even though we don't get an explanation, she knows she can sing. I know. How would you interpret that, Melanie?
I just think, I think Tomoyo had, like, in sports terms, I think she just had the yips, or, like, I forget what they call it in, like, gymnastics even, but I think, like, sometimes when you're a performer or when you play sports, it's just, like, you just get in your head about things. It's just literally a mental block. But then I think being in the fantasy and being able to do it in the fantasy and having her grounding force of Eeril believing in her and being there for her, I think that was how she was able to get over her mental blockade, and then she was able to perform like nothing was wrong. So yeah, I think she just had the equivalent of the yips or whatever other mental block you want to call it.
I really like that explanation. Like, I just took it as for face value. Her connection with Ariel was was strong enough to overcome whatever fear that was holding her back.
You know, and Eeril just loves her so much, and he's just sending his, like, vibes of love to her, and she could feel his vibes of love, and they're so in love, guys. That's Melanie's fantasy land part 2. It's just Tomoyo and Eeril living their best love life.
The side trials of Ariel and Tomoyo and friends.
The side trial?
The side trials.
Side quest.
Sakura and Miho make it to the auditorium just in time to catch Syaoran's violin performance, where the revelation absolutely shocks them, and kudos for him for keeping things under wraps. Like, I personally kept my divorce from my coworkers, who weren't my office besties, for over 2 years. And it wasn't until I was almost 1 year into my relationship with Cameron that, like, people started finding out that I was divorced.
Crazy.
So I love me a guy who can keep a secret and do a big surprise.
I have such a hard time with it. Such a hard time.
And it's like, even Melanie, she's like literally working in my wedding present. And she's like, well, I wanted to be ready for when you were here, but it's not. So I'm going to show you. And hopefully by the time you get married, I'll be done.
I get so excited to give people gifts or give people presents or to tell them things. And I think that's why I was just like, I'm just going to show you.
Mind you, she had bought these gorgeous Love is Blind goblets back before, like, the spring of 2025, and she was supposed to bring it to me when we met up in New York. But then she thought, oh, I'm just going to go shopping with Preya, and once I see something that sparks joy in her eyes, I'm going to sneakily and buy it. And spoiler alert, I don't like shopping.
You're getting better. You're getting better.
I like Marketplace when you don't have to pay the taxes and when there's a deal. That's what I like. But, like, buying things at retail, no thank you. So Melanie did not tell me about the Love is Blind goblets until I was in Kansas, like, over a year later. So when I opened the box, and we joked about having these golden goblets for years.
Like, literally since season 2 when we started watching the show together. Yeah.
Yeah, so she tracked down the official Netflix merch, and I have one, she has one. So when that train wreck of a reality show comes back to Netflix, we'll be sipping on our goblets like those poor people. Syaoran dedicates the number to someone he hurt a year ago. And yes, I had to double check my Nude Trials real-time timeline. So chapter 11 took place in December, and now we're the end of October. So it's actually less than a year, believe it or not.
Wow.
A lot's happened.
Yeah.
Yes, he uses this song as an apology. But what frustrates me is that Sakura still doesn't have context of how he was no longer the chosen one. And she also doesn't even know about his uncle telling him how he can't get close to the card mistress if he wants to stay.
Yeah, I literally think, I think that's a conversation he wants to have, in person.
Yeah.
I think this performance was just to say he apologizes about the remark about silly childhood memories. Is kind of how I'm taking it. He's apologizing for that specific thing he said.
Yeah.
And then I think eventually, Wish-chan, that they're going to have, a whole, conversation about the whys and the hows and everything like that. So that's kind of how I interpreted this scene, is that he's specifically just apologizing for the remark of silly childhood memories.
Yeah, and to be fair, the man does try to get her alone on the Sunday.
Yes.
But it's one mishap after another.
The communication dark force.
But definitely we can see that from here on in, there's no more fighting. And there's no more where she was being quick to forgive everybody but him. Mm-hmm. And there's no more she holds a grudge against Syaoran that she doesn't hold against anyone else. Because they did go through a bit of a rocky patch when he just kept closing up instead of opening up.
Yeah.
So I think this is definitely a turning point for them for sure.
Yeah. Because I think out of all the things he said to her that day, calling their memories silly, I think is what she could not forgive the most.
Yeah.
So I think him doing this apology for that certain phrase, I think it was very much a huge turning point for them.
Listening to the music really ties this chapter together. I'm so glad we went on hiatus for you to put the music back and the sound effects where they belong.
Yes.
I could just imagine Syaoran on stage playing for me. Because, of course, in this context, I am Sakura. Even though in reality, I'm more like one of those swooning girls. Great job on making their voices sound different from one another. I really like that part.
Thank you.
We switch back to Tomoyo and Ariel, and his words of affirmation is definitely Tomoyo's love language.
Mm-hmm.
It was Tomoyo's turn, and her voice came back. We take a moment to appreciate Andrea Ibarra in her full glory with the piano, and it's so pretty, and thank you so much for being our Tomoyo.
Yes, thank you so much, girl. You killed it. Honestly killed it.
It really made the chapter for sure. So Tomoyo wins the first place trophy for vocalist, and everyone congratulates her. But all she wanted was a moment with Ariel, who was ready with a rose. And that was the moment when Tomoyo fell in love with Ariel, as she remembered that it was something that Sakura was describing the feeling. It was a very sweet scene, and we're very excited in our corner.
Yes!
Because, like, SNS is a given, but Wish-chan can go any direction with T&E.
Yeah.
And when we last left them in Syaoran's eternal birthday party mode.
His never-ending birthday.
Ariel did give Tomoyo the sun brooch, and we're positive that it's going to come into play in some shape or form.
Wish-chan.
So their story is far from over. Syaoran also won first place in his category, and Sakura was trying to find him. She runs into Kai himself, and she runs into Kai instead. She observes how he has so many skills, and took a moment to give Kai back his locket from the fantasy/transform. She confronts him about his identity, and when he says, "I am no longer Tanaka Mike," that's probably the most truth that we're ever going to get out of him in front of her.
Yes. And this was the scene that I was telling you guys that I remembered, episodes upon episodes ago, where I was like, no, I think there's a specific scene where Sakura kind of confronts him and that she's known all along, basically. Yeah. So this is what I was thinking about.
Yeah, because it's like she reveals that ever since she opened up the locket and she saw the picture, she knew the truth. Ugh, and it's just annoying to keep that from Miho because it's not her truth to tell.
Yeah. She's a good person. I would have spilled the beans. I'd have been like, girl, guess who this guy is? That's your brother.
It's been really fun hanging out with Melanie this past week because there's just so much lore in her circles, and I'm just eating up everything she's dishing out. Aaron ran into Sakura, and the man could not read the rune. Rune to save his life. So this is Aaron we're talking about. She was trying so hard to evade him, and he was not letting her go. And she was even like, it's okay. But he was grabbing onto her wrist, and we're like, ah! So yeah, Syaoran snapped and beat up Aaron.
As he should. Not that I condone violence, but
was it right? Of course it wasn't right. Of course not. But as much as I wish New Trials was an anime, this would definitely be the scene where I would be covering my eyes. I'll be cringing and hiding behind my hands for sure. And to add insult to injury, Syaoran had to watch Sakura clean Aaron off.
Oh, that would have made me irate if I was Syaoran.
I actually thought Syaoran's trophy was stripped away, but I definitely misremembered that part. I think it was just the, maybe he might lose it. So in my head, I thought he lost it, but I'm glad he didn't lose it.
Yeah. I think Kai being there kind of ended up kind of being this scapegoat for everything.
Yes.
What a true friend.
Kai got in trouble when he shouldn't have, but his reputation preceded him. And I think the fact that he was in the mix, it kind of softened the blow towards Syaoran. Because if it was just Syaoran, then definitely he would have had made an example of, been expelled, and he would have lost his trophy for sure.
Yeah.
But because Kai was there, it's like, oh, just another day for Mizuki Kai. So this really is your last warning. And Syaoran, this is going to be your first warning. And the next time you guys pull something like this, it's expulsion. I think that was, so like Melanie said, it's a scapegoat.
Yeah.
It shielded Syaoran. Because, according to Kai, he's his best friend.
Yeah. Well, Syaoran basically admits it in, Arc 4, and he's like, yeah, that's my best friend.
Yeah.
So sweet.
So while Sakura and friends waited for Kai and Syaoran to get out of the principal's office, Mei-Lin remembers that the last time Syaoran snapped like that was when his dog was being harmed. Ugh. Yeah, and when Lei-Yun died. And there Wish-chan goes again to remind us about him. For the last scene of this chapter, Syaoran reminds Sakura that he is not going back to Hong Kong for anything. And of course, we believe him. And they're back in step with one another, with the chapter closing on a study date and Syaoran being so, so, so happy.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, let's enjoy the end of Arc 3 while we can. We still have a long way to go with our pace.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Hey, don't say sorry. These chapters are long, we're taking our time, and this is a labor of love. Dark Forces Corner. We get a mention of the voice card when Sakura recommends it as the replacement voice for Tomoyo, but that really is 100% dishonest. Sakura thinks about using Windy to take down imposter Mickey until Ariel told her that she had to split the two forces. The fantasy has a voice, and Wish-chan reminds us that the mirror, the phantom, and the riddle were also other three forces with voices. We get mentions of the fly and the unicorn as modes of transportation. And we got a mention of the whip when Syaoran remembered his injuries after seeing Sakura's bruises. On the second day of the fantasy, Sakura did use the unicorn for transportation. The fantasy eludes them, and we get a foreshadowing of this despair. And just when I thought there were no more dark forces to add to the pile, the phantom feeds into Tomoyo's insecurities. And Melanie, your voice for him is as creepy as ever.
My villain Pokemon voice. Love you, Diana.
Fan art spotlight. I am featuring Tomoyo's feelings about Ariel by Serenity Shiro.
Yay!
And I thought it would be fun to share the original author's notes, but I couldn't find the post in the group IO's new trial rings. So after some digging, I realized Serenity emailed her fan art to me directly because we were talking about Fan Art 100, and since I don't delete anything, here's her email from October 27th, 2007. I had to restart my laptop 6 times, but eventually I got my Wacom tablet to work on my laptop. I was looking through the prompts, and as soon as I saw the lightning empty, I had an image bunny, Tomoyo, and her lightning bolt revelation that she was in love with Ariel, chapter 47. So I did a picture for it. It's not the best because I have TFT screen on my laptop, and you really can't do a proper color with TFT screen, but I couldn't help myself. And I'm like, what is she talking about? It's so pretty.
Yeah, that is so good. And Tomoyo looks so gorgeous and
Yeah.
so cute.
This is a girl that's in love. And even though this is the fantasy chapter, it's also the music contest where Tomoyo was heavily featured, so it's fitting. Plus, this is new information for Melanie, but highlighting Serenity opens the door for my Notice Me Senpai moment. Because on Tumblr, I commented on her picture of her new cat, and she liked my post.
Oh my gosh!
No conversation yet, but she noticed me.
Come back. One of us. One of us.
And now it's time for the author's note.
Okay, we have Wish-chan. Well, the second part of the Mickey-Miho confrontation chapter is done. I've been wondering why it was so hard to write chapters these days, though I really enjoyed writing this fantasy stuff. And I realize it's because there are so many characters to handle, so many scenes to switch back and forth from, that it gets confusing for me. Hee hee, the fantasy was another one of those cards that I wanted to do since the beginning. More romance in the air for various couples, eh? We'll see. ... Please see the picture of Mickey and Miho in the locket. I've had it for ages, but couldn't post it up until it corresponded with the storyline. As to Meo-san, Scarlet, it was merely chosen for several reasons. First of all, it is sang by Tomoyo's Seiyu, Aya wa Junko for the anime opening of Ayashi no Seres. It is a beautiful, sad song, and also it does have a pretty piano accompaniment. It used to be pretty popular, and it probably isn't too hard to find it to download it, for those of you who are curious. And it just happened that the lyrics corresponded with the chapter's theme very well. The lyrics are credited to animelyrics.com. On a side note, please remind me not to work on 2 chapters simultaneously from now on. But chapter 46 and 47 are meant to be a part A and a part B. Which Chan? That's become your whole shtick. And I had to make things correspond, so I'm releasing them together. Anyway, it was horrible for editing. 100 pages, size 10 font. Oh yeah, the chapter 46 and 47 titles are supposed to kind of connect with each other. All comments welcome to cherish. I read and savor each email I receive. I mean, how else would I sustain the massive novel that I'm writing? And thank you for those who signed my guest book. And thank you to those who are patient and understanding.
Anything for you, Wish-chan.
Also, I enjoy all the reviews on fanfiction.net. Thank you once again for DigiDynasty, who posted up my fic there initially, and Amethyst Beloved, who's been posting up the rest.
Yay.
Yay, that's it.
Ah, Wish-chan. Future Wish-chan is probably laughing in past Wish-chan's face.
Yeah.
Well, we can just be patient. And thank you for sticking with Melanie and me as we go on this journey. You've been listening to New Trials, the podcast, where it must rain for there to be a rainbow.
You've been listening to New Trials, the podcast. Please be sure to check out the audiobook version of this fanfiction that you can find anywhere that you can find this podcast. Also, please be sure to check out the Facebook fan page for New Trials, where a big part of the discussions happen nowadays. And stick around next time, guys, because it's chapter 48, The Duel of the Sun and Moon.